The Writer's Dossier podcast is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network.
I'm Terrance Layhew, and this is my Writer's Dossier.
No writers were harmed in the production of this podcast.
Woohoo! Hey everybody, this is Jeff Circle. I'm back with another episode of the Writer's Dossier. We are in the Dossier Podcast Studio, writer's room, and occasional speakeasy, which is very cool and appropriate because we have author of these wonderful books. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see me and Terrance Layhew, my friend. How are you, brother? Oh, look at you.
I brought my visual aids too.
You
We're
did.
holding up books.
So yeah, go to YouTube and look at One Man's Treasure by Terrance Layhew and the latest Unwanted Passenger. You know, Terrance, I kind of have that every day that I put the cat in the car. You know, I started this podcast as a way to advertise to people that I was looking for a way to get rid of my cat. So you're not interested in the cat, are you?
No, my wife has commented because I'm allergic, and she likes cats. She's always had kittens. And she reminds me every now and again, I married you. I knew I was giving up cats, but I didn't know I was giving up whatever random thing that I've expressed that I don't like is. And then inevitably I'm told that the other thing matters more than cats. But I matter more than all of it.
You do matter more than all of it. So I really wasn't listening to that part. Did you say you don't like cats or your wife doesn't like cats? I was distracted by this cover. Okay, you don't like cats.
That's 100% fair because Veritas Entertainment that put together Unwanted Passenger, a Mitch Mayhew story, available on Amazon. They did an amazing job on this. Like, I had no clue. They did a contest for their Men's Adventure Fiction May, and I had zero idea what it would look like. I just thought I was turning in a story. And all of a sudden, I'm like, they're putting this on Amazon, and they're like, this is our grand prize winner. I'm like, what the hell? I wrote a story people wanted to publish? Shocking.
What? No, it did. It came out great. The story's wonderful. And I'm if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up, I've got these little sketches at the beginning of each chapter. It's wonderful. And I looked at this and I opened it up and you signed it to me. It says, Jeff, come fly with my adventure. So folks, this is a book about flying, but it's not an aviation manual. Terrance, tell us a little bit about Unwanted Passenger. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to step away for a second because I have to get something else. I'm listening, and so is this vast audience that's listening to the Writer's Dossier. So tell us about Unwanted Passenger and Mitch Mayhew.
Really, we all know that Jeff is just going for his cat. He's going to try to sell us on it again. Mitch Mayhew, Unwanted Passenger is the story of Mitch Mayhew. This is from the golden age of aviation. We're talking the 90s. It's Prohibition era America. And Mitch Mayhew is a former World War I pilot who has fallen on some bad times. He's in some debt. And he has been paid to run the airmail. And in the process of running the very special evidence to convict the Meadows gang, he also has to take an unwanted passenger with him, a lovely young woman who has questionable motives.
I don't know why that's unwanted. That's actually, I'm in.
It's the 1920s, different standards.
Let me ask you a question. When you wrote the character, Mitch Mayhew, in your head movies, and that's what we call it here at the Dossier, did you write him and picture him with a Clark Gable accent?
A little bit. I was going a little bit for the whole transatlantic, that era.
Yeah.
Of like, my favorite thing in writing is I love the Cary Grant effect. I like to think of that His Girl Friday, snappy Howard Hawks dialogue. And as much as I'd love to say, I was like, I think of Mitch Mayhew, I think of Maverick era Mel Gibson or Tom Selleck. But really, in my heart of hearts, it doesn't matter who I write. I think of Cary Grant first and foremost, ever and always, because he is that picture of what means to be a classy, sophisticated gentleman who's just a little funny. The best way I heard people put Cary Grant is a clown dressed in a very nice suit. And he looks at the audience and goes, you think this is kind of ridiculous too, don't you?
Love it. Cary Grant. So let me ask you a question, not to get too far off topic. And I have to think, North by Northwest or To Catch a Thief?
Oh, Jeff, why do you have to ask such painful questions?
Because I think out of those two Cary Grant movies, in North by Northwest, he is what you just described.
Yes.
That gentleman, the suit, the lodge.
Mhm.
It's just
I have
everything.
ex-wives to support.
Yes, and comedic. I mean,
Mhm.
really, it's sneaky funny. But then you have To Catch a Thief, where he's climbing around on roofs without a suit. He's John Roby. But then he's cruising the coast, the Monaco coast there
Mhm.
with Grace Kelly. I mean,
See,
come on.
that's the thing. I think if I have to choose between the movies, I prefer Cary Grant and North by Northwest. I think it's North by
Ooh.
Northwest is a better story, but I love
Wow.
Grace Kelly more.
Yeah.
Is the thing. And the sets, the context, the Riviera, all of the atmosphere that Hitchcock brings into Catch a Thief is better, but the
Yeah.
story of North by Northwest is better. And if I am actually choosing between these two, I am going to say door number 3, Charade. Cary Grant,
Man, you're reading my mind.
Audrey Hepburn. It's not Hitchcock, but it has this amazing Hitchcockian. I always say if you're trying to figure out the right way to do a reveal and a turn in a story where the audience has kind of on their end, watch Charade.
Yeah.
Because that film sequentially does an amazing job of just pulling the audience and twisting the story where all of a sudden you think something entirely different. And I'll tell you what, ever since Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones and Sean Connery, have you truly believed that a younger woman is into an older man as you are in watching Charade? Because Cary Grant at HD recut is not as kind as the original version. And so you see he looks older than Audrey Hepburn by a very, very large number. But you 100% believe she is head over heels in love and wants to do whatever Cary Grant wants her to.
Even more than Bogart in the original Sabrina?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Bogart he's romantic in Casablanca, but his version of romance in Casablanca is also, I would happily smack you in the face, tough guy Bogart.
Well,
the
flashbacks.
Play very well.
He was romantic in the flashback.
Yeah. Very, very tiny scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Full movie, no thank you.
You know, I would normally say at this point in the podcast episode, and folks out there listening and watching, thank you for tuning in to the Writer's Dossier with Mitch Mayhew's creator, Terrance Layhew. Also, Terrance is the host of the Suit Up podcast, and he has suited up. I never do. I wear my Toledo Mud Hens cap and some goofy shirt. So we are diverging all over the place because I kind of like To Catch a Thief better. But let me ask you this.
If people tune in to Suit Up the podcast, they can see Jeff Circle in full tux and tails. And they need to watch our episode, not your episode that's just talking you, Jeff Circle and the Writer Dossier, but they also need to tune into our episode about To Have and To Have Not.
Yes, right? That's epic showdown between our opinions of that movie.
We have gotten the most fan mail I get is from that episode when people are telling me Jeff's crazy. What does he mean this is a better movie than Casablanca? And I completely derailed your question. I am so sorry.
No, Scott McCrea, if you're out there, suck it. He'll text me. And folks, Scott McCrea is a wonderful author, a lot of great new Westerns out
Incredible
there.
guy.
Super dude. But he'll text me. He's like, I can't believe you. And I removed the expletives because he's a big Casablanca fan. And I'm sorry to have and have not. I made my case. So everyone go to terrancelayhew.com. Please like, follow, subscribe, share, bells and buttons, the whole thing. Get to know Terrance Layhew, get to know his work, and definitely enjoy those podcasts. They're wonderful. But I didn't miss what I was about to say. I'm really on it. It must be something I put in my coffee.
So what are you guys serving at the Speakeasy right now?
We have the Speakeasy. If you're watching on YouTube, I could point the camera down. We have the wonderful fireplace going here at the Speakeasy.
Beautiful.
We have some bourbon selections and some reading material there. Some great books. Peacock and the Sparrow by I.S. Berry, Blue Horse by Bruce Borgos, Rising Order by Claire Isenthal, and Second Term by John Adams. And over here, the wine selection of different things. And there's more up there. Anyways, folks.
Yes. Questions. Podcasts.
Right, yes. Questions. So what? Fix the camera back. Folks, be prepared. There may be bloopers at the end of this episode. What I was going to say is this is normally where I would say the podcast has gone off the rails, but there are no rails because we just kind of wing it here. And I think that's a really good strategy. Tell me about your podcast, Terrance. and how you've gone off the rails sometimes, how you kind of changed your approach to talking to people, because you've had some great guests on.
Thank you. Originally, what I did was I had very detailed questions.
Yes.
And I still do that for some things, especially when it's the first time interviewing someone new. I will dive into their back catalog of what did they say at this random interview on thrillerbooks5.com in 2002.
Throw
Because
that in their face.
one of my favorite interview shows is Hot Ones. And the thing that I think that they do an amazing job at is asking really solid questions, at least for the first several seasons. To this day, the greatest compliment I have ever gotten, and I need to cut this section from the Gregg Podolski interview to like share multiple times on Instagram, is he's like, you're like that Sean Evans guy. You do a great job asking solid questions. And highest compliment I've ever received on my show. I will take it. I love it. I want it framed on my wall. I will put a picture of Craig there because he is a handsome, handsome man. But to your actual question, what I've done now is, because it's really easy to over prepare, depending on the guest,
Yep.
I like to
Agreed.
just, hey, here are the big themes of what we're going to talk about, and just enjoy having a conversation. Because at the end of the day, what you and I are doing now is what people want to tune into. They want to hear us riffing and having a good conversation. They want the Judd Apatow version of our entertainment, not the highly scripted and choreographed versions. And since we're not professional paid actors, well, you are in the Notebook. I am not a professional paid actor.
I am. And I was paid. Yeah. Well, okay. So first, a show like Hot Ones, am I going to get in trouble watching that at work on the work URL?
No, you are not. Unless you tune into the one with Heidi Klum, because I'm pretty certain she does take her actual shirt off during the middle of the interview as she is eating hot wings, which I'm sure is some man's fetish out there somewhere.
And this is the part of the podcast where I drop in some fun editing and the back end. So get ready for that. So the next thing I was going to ask you is, can't remember. So you are wonderful at doing something here at the dossier that we call Elevate and Illuminate. You bring on so many wonderful guests, and you put on such a great show at the Pseudo Podcast. One of the folks who we have in common is this guy right here.
Oh,
TV7.
my goodness. Yes.
And I know you loved this book and this guy. So do I. We had him on the dossier. Folks, you can go back and take a look at that, and Terrance's episode as well. So tell me a little bit. I know I took mine out.
I've got the CD here.
I know I held it up during my episode. What an amazing dude. So shout out to TD Severin, folks.
Amazing guy.
Yeah. And I've got something for you. I wish I had 2 of these, because out of everyone out there, so sorry, all you former guests and soon to be future guests, I have a copy of the James Bond vinyl 2-album set of James Bond themes written by John Barry and composed and conducted by John Barry. So this thing here is just incredible. I'm holding it up on YouTube. And the coolest thing about it, besides the music, of course, the records themselves, you can see here, United Artists.
Which, for people that don't know, United Artists is basically what's absorbed eventually into MGM, which is now absorbed into Amazon. So it's, for all intents and purposes, United Artists is gone, except on paper. This was from the age it still existed and was the film studio that brought you James Bond. Yeah. That is so cool.
It is so cool. It's for anyone out there interested in maybe looking for this or buying it from me for about $10,000. It's called the James Bond 10th Anniversary Super Pack. 2 LPs and wonderful. And I know I blew up your phone when I found it. I texted you all kinds of stuff. No one would appreciate it as much as you. So we're not even taking bids on that. So One Man's Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about this.
One Man's Treasure was, I really like those adventure stories where it's like Jules Verne. You just have a treasure map dumped on your lap, and it's a question of what you're going to do about it. I love watching Suits, and I basically made my Harvey Specter-like character in Dixon Hastings, who wins a treasure map in a poker game and says, it's complete bullshit anyway. Why would I actually do anything about it? What matters is it mattered to the other guy. His brother, Sam, who's more like the average Joe, is like, dude, it's a freaking treasure map. Let's go get it.
Yeah, we like Sam.
And that just becomes the adventure. They are 2 guys that don't know how to go on a treasure hunt that go on a treasure hunt. And I will say this is the one sad part about One Man's Treasure versus Unwanted Passenger. This book copious amounts of alcohol. So much alcohol. I had them drinking as much as I possibly could to James Bond levels of excess.
I thought you were going to say you were under the influence of alcohol when you wrote One Man's Treasure. Damn it. It would be
you
so
say
cool.
That. Actually, it probably is true. I wrote it with many martinis as a part of my lifestyle at the time.
I love it.
Whereas this is written during the Prohibition. So they have only a handful of drinks here and there, but he smokes like a chimney the entire time. And so that was a slight non sequitur between the two, but I did think that was an interesting observation since you are in the Writer's Dossier's podcast studio and speakeasy.
Yes, it is. It is an occasional speakeasy. Dude, so everyone go grab One Man's Treasure. It is one of those fun swashbuckling, I'm quoting you, one of your favorite words, and a good description of Terrance Layhew, swashbuckling adventures. And I hate to keep doing this, but I can't help myself. If you were to compare this to a film, what comes to mind?
Captain Blood. It has some of those elements where the pirate vibes are a thing. There are modern day pirates that show up about midway through the stories. It also has King Kong vibes where they're going to this uncharted island. Those are probably the biggest two immediately that jump to mind. If you've seen Journey to the Center of the Earth with Brendan Fraser, which I regard as like the last great of the 90s Brendan Fraser movies that we somehow got in the 2000s, and I hold very close to my heart. I have not rewatched it recently. It might be complete garbage, but I loved it as a kid, and those are the types of vibes I want to bring. The sense of adventure, the unknown brought to you, the question of is there treasure or is there not? I included not one sword fight, Jeff. I got 2 sword fights in my story. I took the crowbar and I shoved them in there.
You killed my father, prepared to die.
I actually do have someone make a Princess Bride reference, and I think the final sword fight.
My name is Enigma Matoya. All right, so we are so vibing right now because I wanted to save the last question. It's not really a question; it's more of a goofy thing, which is what we're kind of known for here. Brendan Fraser. That was my last question, and so the segue is perfect. You're wonderful. We did not rehearse as it's pretty fairly well established at this point. We do no preparation. Brendan Fraser. We mentioned cats at the very beginning. This is my last pitch out there, folks. I live in Northwest Ohio. I have a cat. Need to get rid of it. And then we mentioned that thing about you and cats, and then all kinds of other things. Brendan Fraser with cat. Remember in The Mummy?
Yes.
Held up cat, scared everybody away.
Cat scares with
So, okay, that's probably not going to be you. Where do you fall on The Mummy?
The Mummy is amazing. Like The Mummy is one of those movies that I may commit film suicide right now.
I already did it with what I have and have not, so go ahead.
It's not controversial to say that The Mummy is better than 50% of the Indiana Jones movies. However, it might be touching on some toes to say that I actually might like it more
than Raiders.
So here's the thing I'm realizing about me as a film person and as a storyteller.
Oh, come on. You're a professional film critic. Go ahead.
Yes. I love stories where you have great male-female dynamics, where there's that great chemistry. We were talking Alfred Hitchcock earlier, and you'll note one of the main differences between the films I enjoy more or less is how good is the chemistry. Bogart and Bacall. That is the big thing there in that movie that's a selling point. The plot sucks. Those two are electric. Yeah. The Mummy, you have Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz vibing it up to almost unhealthy levels on screen.
Yeah.
It is so incredible. And as much as I love Indy and Marion, I think that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, Evie and Rick, have better chemistry. So as much as I will say Raiders of the Lost Ark is technically a better movie from a script perspective, from a filmmaking perspective, in terms of actor chemistry, The Mummy, if you just want a good time with very attractive people on screen and adventure vibes, The Mummy is a better movie. It is a better popcorn time on a date night.
I know I would mix things up and make things more interesting if I gave a counterpoint and totally disagreed with you and told you you're crazy, but I can't. You're right. Yeah, there you have it, folks.
Wait, the Film Critics Association is showing up at my door to take my card.
Boo! Yeah, here. Okay. Brother, you are I had the greatest line. See, this is the blooper part. I had the greatest line. So, Terrance Layhew is a shining star of the dossier, rising like a comet, like that thing that's headed toward Earth that's behind the sun. only he's good. He's friendly. He's super. Folks, go to TerranceLayhew.com. Follow him on social media. What's your favorite social media platform to post on first, Terrance? Where do you
Instagram.
go? Instagram.
100%.
Follow 100% on Instagram. I think you have, I know you have the suit up handle on Instagram, right?
Yes. So after getting married, one of the things that I decided to change is I have my private one that is just my life, with whom few friends such as Jeff get to follow.
Terrance
You are
Layhew
welcome to request to follow me, and I will probably deny you. But if you go to @suitup.author, I have no boundaries there. You can just follow me. You can see this guy in a suit most Sundays, some Sundays, and tune into the Suit Up podcast, Suit Up with Terrance Layhew, where we have great guys like Jeff Circle and TD Severin on the show.
We have a lot of fun.
We just we had Scott McCrea on the show to talk The Rocketeer, and it was incredible. That was the most recent episode, so this might date it, but it was a great time.
Yes, I saw that on social media, and I've got to listen to it because Timothy Dalton, and again, we're breaking a rule here on the dossier, we're going over, but I love it because, and I commented back, Timothy Dalton in Yellowstone is the villain. Timothy Dalton is an amazing villain, and you talked to Scott McCrea about that on your episode talking about The Rocketeer. Folks, tune into that episode. You know, that's what I do. I just direct people away from my own website. But seriously, don't miss a thing. I'm crazy about what you're doing. I'm crazy about how you're doing it. You're a good friend, and I love the text banner back and forth and the social media. Don't stop, and congratulations to you and your relatively new wife. And I hope that you guys do end up going to the Iowa Fair and getting a fried Twinkie. That's it. We're out. Bye, everybody. No, thank you, Terrance.
Thanks for having me on the show, Jeff.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Folks, TerranceLayhew.com. That's it. Bye, everybody. That was fun.
The Dossier Podcast is a production of The Idea Academy.